Good morning. This is Kenya News Update today. We begin with a tragic story of sacrifice and loss. A Kenya Red Cross Aqua Rescue volunteer has died while searching for a teenage boy swept away by floodwaters along the Mbagathi River in Nairobi. The incident occurred on Wednesday, March 4th, at the high-rise area. In a statement, Secretary General Dr. Ahmed Idris confirmed the diver lost his life during the operation. This tragedy highlights the extreme dangers faced by first responders during Kenya's current severe flooding crisis. We will dive deep into this story, examining the rescue operation, the broader flood emergency, and the debate surrounding disaster response preparedness. We'll also look at the human cost and the policy implications for a nation increasingly battered by extreme weather. Joining us for analysis today are disaster management expert Dr. Wanjiru Mwangi and former Red Cross Operations Director, James Omondi. Welcome to both of you. Let's start with the facts of this tragic event. According to the Kenya Red Cross statement, the emergency call came in at approximately 9:15 a.m. on Wednesday. A 17-year-old boy had been swept away by raging waters while attempting to cross the Mbagathi River near the high-rise estate. A team of 8 specialized aqua rescue volunteers was immediately dispatched. The search operation lasted for over 5.5 hours in treacherous conditions. The volunteer who died, whose name has not yet been released pending family notification, was a highly experienced diver with over 7 years of service. He was reportedly navigating a submerged section of the riverbank when he became trapped. Despite immediate efforts by his team, he could not be rescued in time. The teenage boy they were searching for remains missing. Dr. Mwangi, what does this tell us about the conditions these rescuers are facing? Dr. Mwangi, this is a devastating but stark illustration of the operational environment. We're not talking about calm waters. These are flash floods with immense force. The Mbagathi River in that area can transform from a trickle to a torrent in minutes during heavy rain. Water velocity can exceed 15 kilometers per hour, carrying debris, mud, and creating powerful undercurrents. Visibility is near zero. Rescuers are essentially working blind, relying on touch and training in water filled with sewage, industrial waste, and sharp objects. The risk calculus is immense every time they enter the water. Narrator James Omondi, you've commanded such operations. What goes through a team's mind when a colleague is in peril? Omondi, it is the worst-case scenario every team leader fears. Your primary mission is the public, but your team is your family. Protocols immediately shift. The priority becomes your own man. In this situation, with the water that dangerous, it becomes a rescue within a rescue, compounding the danger exponentially. The psychological toll on that team is unimaginable. They lost a brother while trying to save a son. Narrator, this individual tragedy unfolds against a massive national emergency. Let's look at the scale. Since the onset of the long rains in early March, flooding has impacted 32 of Kenya's 47 counties. The National Disaster Operations Center, NDOC, reports that over 120,000 people have been displaced from their homes. Casualty figures are grim. At least 52 fatalities have been confirmed nationwide, with dozens more missing. Critical infrastructure has been hit hard. Preliminary damage assessments estimate losses at approximately 500 million shillings for roads and bridges alone. In Nairobi, counties like Embakasi, Kasarani, and Westlands are among the worst hit. The situation has prompted a Level 2 emergency response activation, mobilizing over 120 personnel from various agencies including the Kenya Red Cross, the National Youth Service, and the Kenya Defense Forces. Dr. Mwangi, is this an unusually severe season or part of a new normal? Dr. Mwangi, the data is clear. We are seeing a pattern of intensification. Compare this to the floods of March 2023. Displacements are up by about 15%. The spatial spread is wider. The intensity of rainfall events is greater. This is consistent with climate projections for East Africa, longer dry spells punctuated by shorter, more intense rainy periods. The ground, already saturated in some areas from previous rains, cannot absorb this volume. The runoff is immediate and violent. Our urban areas with impermeable surfaces and clogged drainage become death traps. Narrator, the government response has been multifaceted. President William Ruto chaired a special cabinet session on disaster response on Tuesday, March 3rd, just a day before this tragedy. The cabinet announced the allocation of 2.5 billion shillings from the emergency fund for immediate humanitarian aid and infrastructure repair. The Kenya Meteorological Department has been issuing daily alerts, yet the question many are asking is about prevention. James Omondi, from your experience, where are the critical gaps? Omondi, the gap is often in the last mile of communication and enforcement. We have forecasts. We have maps showing flood-prone areas. But does that information reach the man trying to cross the Mbagadi River at 9 a.m.? Is it actionable for him? Furthermore, our urban planning has not kept pace. We continue to allow construction on riparian land and wetlands, which are natural sponges. When you pave over a wetland, you are essentially constructing a flood basin. We see illegal developments blocking natural waterways year after year. Enforcement against this is weak. We are setting the stage for these tragedies. Narrator, let's visualize one critical aspect: the strain on search and rescue resources. The Kenya Red Cross has deployed the majority of its specialized teams. Out of their total national force of 52 certified aqua rescue divers, 45 are currently deployed across various flood zones. That's over 85% of their elite water rescue capacity actively engaged in simultaneous operations. This leaves a thin margin for any new major incident. The volunteer who died was from this critically stretched pool of experts. Training a replacement to that level of proficiency takes, on average, 3 years and costs roughly 800,000 shillings per diver. This loss is not just personal, it degrades national response capability for years. Dr. M1G, how does this resource constraint affect decision-making on the ground? Dr. M1G, it creates impossible choices. Commanders must now ration high-risk assets. Do you send your best diver into a dangerous but potentially survivable situation for a victim? The calculus becomes colder. With fewer specialists, the operational burden on each remaining one increases, leading to fatigue and higher risk of error. It's a vicious cycle. This tragedy may force a stand down for retraining and psychological debriefing for other teams, which could temporarily reduce capacity further during the peak of the crisis. Narrator, there is also a growing debate about the role of technology. Could drones or sonar equipment have prevented this death? Some counties have experimented with drone-based flood monitoring. The technology exists, but adoption is patchy. A single advanced sonar search system costs around 12 million shillings. The argument is that such an investment could save lives and reduce risk to rescuers. Opponents say the money is better spent on broader drainage projects that prevent the emergencies in the first place. James Omondi, your take? Omondi, we need both. It's a false economy to not equip our responders. Sending a 12 million shilling drone over raging water is better than sending a priceless human life. That diver was a father, a husband, a son. His value is infinite. Technology should be the first responder in high-risk scenarios, providing reconnaissance. But it cannot replace the human element for actual extraction. The ideal is a hybrid model, tech for eyes, humans for hands, but this requires budgetary commitment and training. We are still in the era of bravery over gear. Narrator, the human impact of these floods is staggering. Beyond the fatalities, consider the displaced. Over 120,000 people. If we put that in perspective, that's more than the entire population of Nakuru Town's Central Division. They are in over 200 temporary camps, facing threats of waterborne diseases like cholera. The World Health Organization has already confirmed 15% of sampled camps have cholera presence. The public health crisis that follows the flood is often deadlier than the water itself. The economic disruption is another layer. Farmers have lost early season crops. The Kenya National Highways Authority reports that 3 major highways and 15 secondary roads are impassable, strangling supply chains. Dr. M1G, what's the cascading effect? Dr. M1G, it's a multi-system failure. Health, agriculture, transport, education, all are impacted. Schools are closed in many areas, disrupting learning. Food prices in Nairobi have already begun to spike due to transport delays from agricultural regions. The 500 million shillings in immediate infrastructure damage is just the direct cost. The indirect costs, lost productivity, disease burden, mental health trauma, could multiply that figure several times over. We are looking at a total economic impact likely exceeding 5 billion shillings for this event alone, and the season is not over. Narrator, this brings us to the policy debate. President Ruto's administration has emphasized climate change adaptation. The 2.5 billion shilling emergency fund is a reactive measure. What about proactive investment? The National Climate Change Action Plan for 2023 to 2027 allocates funds for resilient infrastructure, but implementation is slow. Critics argue that we mourn every year, allocate emergency funds every year, but the fundamental vulnerabilities in our cities and watersheds remain unaddressed. There is also the question of compensation for responders. A fallen Red Cross volunteer was a volunteer. His family may receive a gratuity from the Society's benevolent fund, but it is not a government pension. Should the state formalize and ensure these frontline disaster responders? James Omondi? Omondi, absolutely. It is a national disgrace that we rely on the bravery of volunteers without giving them and their families the security they deserve. This man died in national service. His family should be cared for by the state, not through charity. We need a National First Responders Compensation Act. On prevention, yes, the plans are there. The problem is corruption and short-term thinking. Draining a wetland for a quick real estate profit for a few yields votes and money today. The flood that kills dozens comes tomorrow, under a different news cycle. The political incentive is misaligned with long-term safety. Narrator, let's look forward. The Kenya Meteorological Department forecast indicates heavy rainfall is expected to continue for at least another 7 to 10 days over the central, western, and Rift Valley regions. This means the crisis is likely to worsen before it improves. The NDOC is preparing for a potential escalation to a level 3 emergency, which would involve a more direct military-led coordination and possible international assistance appeals. The focus now is on preventing further loss of life. Dr. Mwangi, what is the most critical action for the public in the coming days? Dr. Mwangi, heed the warnings. It seems simple, but it's the most effective. Do not walk or drive through moving water. 6 inches of fast-moving water can knock over an adult. 12 inches can carry away a car. Do not let children play near storm drains or rivers. If you are in a flood-prone area, have an evacuation plan and a go bag ready. Listen to official channels, not social media rumors. The bravery of responders has limits, as we have tragically seen. The public must be the first line of their own defense. Narrator, as we conclude this deep dive, we are left with the image of sacrifice. A volunteer gave his life trying to save another. His death is a stark reminder of the human cost of our collective failure to adapt to a changing climate and to properly manage our environment. It underscores the valor of those who run toward danger when everyone else runs away. But it also raises urgent questions about how we support them, equip them, and ultimately how we work to ensure they face fewer such deadly calls. The floods will recede. The headlines will fade, but for the family of that diver and for the family of the missing teen, life is forever changed. The challenge for Kenya is to ensure their sacrifice leads to meaningful change. James Omondi, final word. Omondi, honor him by fixing the problems. Name a training academy after him. Fund it. Enforce the laws on riparian land. Invest in technology. Do not let his death be just another statistic in next year's flood report. Let it be the turning point. Narrator, thank you to Dr. Wanjiru Mwangi and James Omondi for your insights. That is our deep dive for this morning. We will continue to follow this story and the broader flood crisis. For now, this is Kenya News Update Today. Subscribe to Kenya News Update Today.